The Creativation Podcast is finally on YouTube. What's up, Creative Farm? Oh my God, welcome to the Creativation Podcast. It's another day on the podcast, and this is a very special day. A very, very special day. If today you are listening to the podcast, I think you'd need to do something else aside listening, because you can finally watch the podcast, right? Yeah, because I'm glad to announce that the Creativation Podcast is finally on YouTube. After so many, should I call it failed attempts? But after so many attempts to get to YouTube and be visual and all that, because audio podcast is not really popular in that part of the world, you understand? And for my target audience right now, or the kind of people that I'm reaching, or we are reaching as a podcast, audio podcast is somewhere. There are people who have always asked that, could we have it on video and all that? And I believe personally that probably would have had more reach if we were active on YouTube. And finally we are on YouTube. So if you are listening to the podcast today, well, you can head over to our YouTube channel and then watch today's episode, right? And if you're already watching us on YouTube, hi, my name is Caleb and I'm the host of the Creativation Podcast, and I'm super excited that we are finally on YouTube. Now, this has been an amazing journey so far. We've had 8 episodes already on the podcast, and it's been very inspiring, from the kind of guests that we've had. It's our in-house recording sessions where we just spoke about creative topics and all that, and things that I've personally had people say, oh, these topics were things that helped me. And even myself, right? The things that we shared on the podcast have really, really helped me, you understand? And before we even proceed with anything, if you're very new to the podcast, maybe you've never really heard us, but then you are seeing us for the first time on YouTube, probably because of the algorithm pushing things to you and all that. Well, my name is Caleb Bamfo, and I'm a graphic designer, I'm a videographer, and a podcast host. And of course, the podcast host of the Creativation Podcast. Yeah, so a little thing about the Creativation Podcast. So the Creativation Podcast is basically a podcast platform. I would have previously said an audio podcast, but right now I have a lot of magic. I can't say audio podcast. Now a video and audio podcast, platform where which is aimed at inspiring and motivating creators, basically, right? And we do this through having engaging and insightful conversations with other creatives where they come on to share with us certain things that they are doing differently, certain things that they are guaranteeing them success, certain things that have got them achievements, have made them big achievements, where they also, talk to us about their challenges and all that, so that we all could just listen and become better creators, you understand? And then we also have in-house recordings where I, the host, just come on and then just talk about creative things, we talk about topics. So some of the things that we shared the last time was on not networking. How it will cost you as a creator to not network. The fact that, another episode we spoke about the fact that we need to get ourselves into action, especially for those of us creatives who are self-taught from YouTube, So yeah, it's basically aimed at inspiring and motivating creatives and just making creatives better people. Inspiring creatives as in you get to listen to conversations, get to listen to what your fellow creative is doing, not even just the person up there, but then your fellow creative, that other photographer, videographer that you don't know, that we bring on here to share their experience and then their thoughts. You get to know what they are doing, and then you are inspired. Sometimes inspiration from your colleague or someone who's at your level or not too far from you, it's very good, because those are things that you can relate to, things that are achievable for you, you understand? So yeah. And I think a quick breakdown on some of the things that we've done, or some of the episodes that we've had. So the very first episode on the podcast, I recorded the podcast with my phone. And before I even go to that, right? The whole point of creating the podcast, it was born out of this thing to be able to have a platform for African creatives or Ghanaian creatives, young creatives mostly, to be inspired and motivated. Because when I was starting out my creative journey, which was like a little over 5 years ago. I'm not so old, I'm very young, right? But a little over 5 years ago, I think there were other creators out there, one of the people that I really listen to is the Chris Do, from the future, and he really inspires me a lot. He really taught me a lot. Like, I learned so much from his videos on YouTube and then on Instagram and all that. But then I felt like some of them were not really relatable, because there are things that happen in Ghana that do not happen outside Ghana or outside Africa. So then I was like, oh, I need to actually put something together that would like be relatable. You understand? Yeah. So that's like the whole point of creating the podcast, and it's been an amazing journey. I started a podcast recording with my phone. I downloaded the Spotify for Podcasters app, and then I started recording on my phone. It was such an amazing experience, because I honestly didn't want this idea to just die off, because I'd had so many ideas of things I wanted to do, and I'll just be procrastinating, be giving myself the excuse of, oh, I don't have the right equipment, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this, I don't have that, and then I would end up not doing it. You understand? So I wanted this podcast to be one of the things that I don't give any excuse for. I just go out and then do it, and I'm glad that I actually ended up doing it. You understand? So yeah, that ultimately makes me the host of the podcast. So I've been hosting this podcast for quite a while. The podcast is like very young. As of now, or as of the day of recording this one, we have 8 episodes on the podcast. Yeah, and it's been an amazing journey. All right. So the very first episode of the podcast, we recorded with the phone. It was a remote recording. Can you imagine? Somebody who has started podcast fresh that I'm now seeing what I can do. It was a remote recording, and it was my one of my very good friends. He's Cisco Stories, right? He's Francis, and he shared with us very inspiring tips, on his journey. Some things that, it was a very, very inspiring conversation, And then the very next episode was the cost of not networking as a creative, right? And that was an in-house recording where I myself just spoke about what it could cost a creative to not network. Because I used like my experience with Francis, because he actually reached out sometime to network. As at the time, we didn't really know each other, and I was giving excuses, because I didn't know about networking, and then I just shared how that cost me, and then the fact that we shouldn't have to go through the same thing, so that doesn't cost us like that. The very next episode was an episode with Miranda, who also shared very important tips, on being a creative, being a graphic designer specifically, right? And then the next thing was, we had very, very inspiring episodes. I wouldn't want to go over everything, because there are people who are probably also very familiar with this, not entirely new people, So I wouldn't want to also make them listen to so many things that they probably wouldn't want to listen to, right? So yeah, you can just hop onto Spotify or Apple Podcast channels, just simply search for Creativation Podcast, right? And then listen to some of our inspiring episodes. Yes, so I think we've spoken about why Creativation Podcast. We've spoken about some of the episodes we've had and all that. The journey, like I said, started with my phone, recording my phone for like almost 3 episodes or 4. It was with my phone. Until later, I was like, I got some money to buy this microphone, also with some support from my brother, and yeah, that's it though. And we've been growing, and this is not the best we could have at this point. But then one thing that I've committed myself to as a creative, or with this podcasting, is just to grow. I know that there are times there'll be a day I'll watch this video right now and be like, oh my god, what was I doing? What was I thinking? But then this is the time that we are in right now, and we have to make use of the time. So if you are watching me right now and you are thinking, well, there's something you want to do that you're not actually doing it, do it, because there's always a start for something. And the start might not always be nice. Do you understand? I was speaking to a friend, and then the person was saying that, oh, they deleted all their content because they didn't feel it was bougie enough, or they felt like they were doing too much. Yes, your beginning times will be, you feel like you're doing too much. I know definitely that there'll be a time I'll watch this thing and they'll be like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? But then right now, this is like the best I can do. You understand? The most important thing is that you are growing. So start, right? Just make sure that when you start, you are continuing and you are growing. You don't just be there. You do not just be there like that. You understand? Yes. So basically, this is just an introductory video for our YouTube audience, right? Because definitely, I believe that some of us are going to like start watching, because a lot of people are more visual than audio. Me, I'm both, right? Because I actually like to listen to podcasts, because the advantage of listening to podcasts is that you get to be able to listen and be doing what you are doing. So let's say I could be washing dishes and be listening to podcasts. I could be cooking and be listening to podcasts. I could be doing any other thing, maybe something, walking and be listening to a podcast. Maybe you cannot be walking and then you are looking at your phone the whole time, it will be some way. Do you get? So I like to listen to podcasts, but then there are also times where you have to sit down and then watch and then enjoy the whole visuals, all the B-rolls and all those things, right? So yeah, this is just to tell you that the Creativation Podcast is finally on YouTube, and we are so excited to be on YouTube. Now, there's so much we have in store for you. I think we already said quite a number of them in our previous audio episode, but then since there was audio and now we are meeting a new group of people, let me just go over them a little bit, right? Of course, right now, from today or from this episode, expect us on your screens too. You understand? Not just in your ears. We've been in your ears for a very long time now. Expect us on your screens too. And I really ask everyone humbly to share this, right? You understand? Like, let's make this thing a thing. Let's go out. Let's not just like be in this corner and then only. I know maybe our first video, this video might not get so many views and all that. I accept it. I understand. I know, but then let's just make sure that the videos that follow, we are letting it go all out. You understand? So let me just do a quick breakdown of what to expect, right, from us, because definitely we are meeting new audiences. So the Creativation Podcast has an episode every week, right? We release an episode every week, one episode every week, and our release dates or the days of our episodes is Friday. So every Friday is Creativation Friday, where we release one episode for you. Previously we were just releasing it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but right now, because we are on YouTube, we are giving you a video episode too. And so yeah, watch out for that every Friday. So at least, if not anything, know that every Friday you have something valuable as a creator to listen to watch also. I'm so excited, God. I'm always like, oh, now you can watch us. You understand? Yeah. So every Friday, one episode. And now that we are on YouTube also, we are trying to like create segments on the podcast, right? Both visually and then audio wise. So right now, yeah, the video podcast or the video editions of the podcast will be on YouTube, and then the audio will still continue being on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So then we now getting on YouTube does not mean that we wouldn't do the audio podcast anymore. We'll still do it. The audio goes to the audio podcast channels, and then the video goes to our YouTube channel. So please kindly subscribe, you understand? Because it's coming for you. We are coming for you. So subscribe, and also follow the shows, because like I said, you could be listening to podcasts and be doing other things. So I could be doing too. There are days I would watch, there are days I would listen if I were you. You understand? Yes. So aside that too, we are creating segments on the podcast. And these segments for now, there are 3. So we have pain points, we have sweet spots, and then we have on the field. I described these things in the last episode, right? But then since I said again, since we are on YouTube right now, I feel like I should just go over it. So pain points is about we having creatives to share their pain points in the industry, because the creative work, mostly one of the works that people have a lot of complaints about. Not that the people outside, the people inside, like we the creative, we have so many complaints about our work, It's serious, because it's some way, like the way clients deal with creatives, the way all those things. So now we would have times where we'd invite creatives to come and share with us these pain points. You understand? Because I feel like when people share these pain points, one, you'd understand that you're not alone in it, and then 2, you'd probably see how they would deal with it. Because let's say I've had my own pain points, but then there are times where I've dealt with them too, you understand, and then it actually went well for me. Maybe there are times where I also didn't handle it well, and then maybe it cost me in some way. So then the whole point of having creators share their pain points in the industry is not just to come and get people to be better, but then to also get you at the listening end or the watching end to be able to also know what to do when you also encounter such a pain point. Also realize that, I had this client telling me this, and this is how I reacted, and this was the results. So maybe when you get there, you actually know what to do, and you actually do it very well. You understand? So yeah, that's the essence of pain points. And then I mean, sweet spots, of course, is the nice one, because I believe that in as much as we have a lot of disrespectful moments, a lot of painful moments in our work as creatives, we also have like very, very sweet moments, right? There are certain clients that we meet that like treat us like heaven. I mean, some clients are clients from heaven, just like some clients are clients from hell. You understand? So we also have creators coming on to share their sweet spots, those projects that they worked on that, I mean, it was superb for them, and the whole thing about it. Those like very sweet, nice stories that looks like nothing ever went wrong. We'll share those ones on sweet spots. And then also we have on the field, which is where we go to the creatives while they are at their work, and then we interact with them, we share with them, you understand? Because I was using the dance person, for example, because if I'm to call a dancer right now to interview a dancer, they would say things, right? But then it would hit differently if they are in their dance elements, they are sweating, they've danced, they are tired, and then you are talking, all the puns and all that. I mean, there's something to it. It does something to you, you understand? If you can relate to such a niche. So we'll also have on the field where we go to the creatives while they are on their work to talk to them, to share a few words. So I could just or anybody in the team, right, could just be passing by people who are dancing, and then just stop somebody inside, just ask them questions fast, then we move. We could be having people who are acting, we just go there, go and ask them questions, and we move. Something, you understand? Yeah, so that's what on the field is about. So expect all these things from us. Very, very great content we have for you, and then we believe that it's going to be a great blessing to you. Yes, so before I end, let me say a very quick thank you to my lecturer in school, right? Dr. Gomita. He is my film lecturer. So if you don't know, I'm still a student of the University of Ghana, aside being what I said I am, right? I'm a student of the University of Ghana. I'm a final year student studying radio, television, video, and film. Yes, as my major in theater arts. Yes, so I spoke to my lecturer about the podcast and all that, and then I told him about the fact that I want a space to film video podcasts. Of course, I want to like go on YouTube. And he said, "Oh yeah, it's a good idea. I can give you my office." I'm like, "Oh my god." That was like a very kind gesture for my lecturer, and I really, really appreciate that. So right now, if you are seeing where I am, I'm in my lecturer's office. Have good lecturers. Go to good schools. You understand? Yeah, I'm very appreciative of Dr. Gomita. He's the studio manager for the ETS drama studio, the Efua Sutherland drama studio on the University of Ghana campus in Ghana. And he is my lecturer, and he's very kind to me to give me his office space to film, and I'm really, really appreciative of that, And yeah, we try to do this thing sometime, right? Try to like record an episode, like when you give me the office first, try to give me record something. It didn't really work out like that, Yeah, but then so I had to like come over it and then do it again, And this for me might not really be the best I could have done, but then yes, I've done it anyways. I'm just happy I've done it because I'm growing. The more I do these things, the more I watch what I do, and then I see my progress. I'm able to like do more and do better. Yeah. So yeah, that's the video you are seeing, and that video I had great assistance from one of my very good friends. He's Maxwell Esifo. He's a voiceover artist. He'll definitely be on the podcast one of these days, And he's an actor, a creative in the theater space. Very great guy, and I want to really appreciate Maxwell Esifo for this. And then also to the people who have been listening to us all this while, that have given us the nerves to think that, if you put out something, somebody will listen. Thank you guys so much who have been listening from day one. Thank you to all the creators who have also like believed in the podcast, even at this very young stage like this, to come and share with us their thoughts. I mean, they didn't think that, this is something, very young, I can do this elsewhere, but then they still decided to come and share with us. I want to really, really thank Francis with Cisco Stories, thank Miranda Blankson, and then thank Kojo Kwarting, for being with us and giving us like amazing, things. Thank you so much, right? And then for you who have also watched, who probably doesn't know about us, but then you have still watched up to this point, thank you so much, right? I'm so glad that you did. So like I said, my name is Caleb Akoto Banfo, and if you want to reach me, I am on Instagram at _Caleb Akoto Banfo. So _CalebAkoto BAMFO, all together as one word, right? And then yes, the Creativation Podcast has an Instagram page where we share updates on whatever we are doing, and then we also give you very useful videos, tips from other creatives and all that. Video excerpts right now. My God. Yes. So we are on Instagram at the Creativation_podcast. Yes. And then you can search for us on Spotify. Just simply search Creativation Podcast. We are also available on Apple Podcasts. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Yes, right now I have to be saying watching. Now say listen. Watching. Listen. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for watching today. Wow. Yes, we thank God. We thank God. Right. So see you in the next one. Next Friday, another episode for you. Right. Bye.